Okay, so the key feedback was, are we trying to do a lot? And I'm going to use a bit of a structured approach today um, to explain what is what the latest thought process is, I guess. So we used I think I did a very brief introduction to the business model canvas in one of the previous calls. So I've used that to express the business model for Small Outside, which has been narrowed down to impact focused entrepreneurship and employment. Uh, so if I explain the key principles of a business model that we've used, there is the front stage and then there's the backstage. Front stage is where we identify who the users are, who the customers are, um, or what the value propositions are, how are we taking the value proposition to the customers, what kind of revenue gets generated through those interactions. And backstage is where all the hard work happens to make the front stage possible. So that's a good way to look at it. And I've used this framework to run the rest of the course. So let's look at the value proposition. Now, we narrowed down on impact. If you recall, we went into several spaces, rework, as in some of the work we did around rework platform as well hasn't gone wasted. We will be using it, but it will be in the context of impact. And what I mean by that is impact does not mean just going and doing charitable work. Impact over here, when we say impact, we mean doing it through work and using models that create revenue for the participants, but also create impact to people and planet. So that's what it means. So these are triple bottom line initiatives. The role of Small Outside is to be the platform that enables that. Now, in order to zoom in on the value proposition, so we've identified 5 different customer segments here. So there are individuals who have entrepreneurial interests. So these are individuals wishing to run their own business and have an idea that they are very passionate about. And some of the members on this call already have ideas they want to chase. Uh, Impact collaborators are, on the other hand, they want to make a difference. They want to do something good for the world and create their own, have their own impact using their knowledge, but they are not quite ready to be an entrepreneur. But they may be interested in being non-executive directors and collaborate through their effort, or even simply participate through mentoring programs and contribute in their way. Impact investors, on the other hand, are individuals who are wishing to grow their wealth. So these are people who want to invest money, but they want to also create an impact through their participation. We then have these two here, impact institutions. These are organizations, government entities, CSR units. They all are interested in impact partners, so people who they can trust in order to deliver their impact goals. They're not our immediate focus, but they're there for completing the picture. And then finally, you have the impact consumers who are interested in products that are impact focused, which are sustainably sourced and built. So these are the 5 customer segments we are referring to. And when I say customer segments, this is more a language used by the business model canvas, but these are the beneficiaries, if you like, of the SmallOutside.com platform. So what is it that we are offering them? For the entrepreneur, and as you can see, all of these are linked in some way or the other. So for the entrepreneur, a lot of people have great ideas. Quite often, they cannot take the leap into entrepreneurship, either because of their own pressures of life, um, and that tends to be the biggest problem, or quite often they don't have the right guidance, or they don't have the right people to collaborate with. So for them, an incubator would make sense. Now, there are lots of incubators. There are a few which focus on impact as well, but our goal is primarily impact and using collaborative models by building an impact network. So this is where we've spoken about circles and how circles come together in order to deliver uh, just to jog your memories, we talked about 4 types of circles, circles that are aligned to our industry vertical, to our industry horizontal, to our location, and then finally, of course, our passion. So these are individuals organized into effective networks, not another LinkedIn of kinds, not a social network with likes and shares, but pure networking related, where people can interact with each other, know people by first name, and most importantly, are not interacting with people they already know, but are interacting with people who are aligned to their interest in some shape or form and are unknown to them. That's an important aspect here. We focused a lot on crypto assets in recent calls. They provide a very valuable solution to some of the challenges impact entrepreneurs face in terms of funding. This is, you can think of it as a new way to get crowdfunding, but also it resolves the trust issue that exists with crowdfunding to some extent. Then the impact partners and marketplace are there just for completion, but these are for the longer term. So in the short term, what we are saying is this is the value proposition, the impact incubator incubating ideas with the help of the impact network using the support of people who are interested in collaborating on impact ideas, and then crypto assets to fund that work. Now, that's a high level view, but if I then go to the lower level view, which is where it starts coming to life a bit. So if we look at the value propositions here, we are talking about the impact incubator providing for an entrepreneur. In fact, you can use filters here. Let's do it this way. So if I think from an impact entrepreneur's perspective, one of you is interested in entrepreneurship, then what you are essentially benefiting from is crowd consulting and crowdfunding. These are people in the network who can support you if your ideas are valuable and they think they are worth supporting. You also get value-aligned collaborators. Now, this is an important aspect. Quite a few people start off, they have co-founders, they have collaborators, or they have employees, but they're not necessarily all aligned from a values perspective. But what the goal here is to actually create that alignment, a deeper alignment for success. There's also a community which shares the ethos, and it also gives you access to hidden opportunities. Now, again, if I go into detail, it will take a long time, but hopefully this gives you an idea. For the impact entrepreneur, these are the kind of benefits they receive. In terms of how we serve them, it would be once they reach a growth stage, it gets personalized, but until that point, it's self-serve. And what does self-serve mean? So to bring it to life, an impact entrepreneur has an idea, but it's not got visibility. So the platform will create visibility for the idea through publishing information relating to that. Assuming at some point we have enough members in the network, they start receiving information about the idea that the impact entrepreneur has, and that then hopefully through word of mouth, and if we have enough funding to support that, then through other means of publicity, we get that visible to others. And that then creates participation for the impact entrepreneurs' activities. So that's a very simple way of saying how a self-serve mechanism works, where the entrepreneur publishes, some basic reviews happen, and people come and support. There will be a lot more involved workflows behind the scenes, but not at this stage. Again, we're still at a POC and a MVP kind of stage, so we won't go to that level of detail in terms of implementation right now. If you noticed here as well, blockchain plays a key role. And again, this is to use it for smart contracts primarily, and also for some of the NFTs and the fungible tokens as well that have been built already through the Better World initiative. So the funding that gets generated through that would also support the impact entrepreneurs' activities. Now, of course, this is a model. We need to first get the NFTs sold in order to fund that work. But on the other side, we've already trialed, Nick, Link, and myself. We've been doing masterminds. We've had 2 sessions already, and they seem to work really well. So this is another way of supporting a smaller circle that that supports the impact entrepreneur and helps them achieve their goals. So again, this is very community-based, very people working with people model. There are also concepts such as SOS rewards. So we've got our own SOS tokens, which we've got a reward model which is slowly starting to build up on people who support and come forward to support others who are trying to make an impact, get rewarded in some shape or form. And then circles is where you tap into the knowledge of other people to support your impact work. Now, I'm saying this with a "you're" in there. Now, I understand not everyone's necessarily impact focused or rather entrepreneurial focused. So what happens for those individuals? Again, very similar. Some things appear the same. But the most important bit is you're part of a network which is fully aligned to your own values and thought processes and common interests. You can use your knowledge to create impact. And some of us get satisfaction simply by helping others. Some of us are looking for specific opportunities that may come out of that support. And any deep opportunities can be created through that. This is where we can support it through smart contracts and formalize it so that anyone who supports the impact entrepreneurs also receive a reward, and SmallOutside can play a role in making sure those kinds of transactions are captured and made binding through the proper processes. It also gives, as in, I've mentored people, and what I find quite often is I grow as a person. So even if I don't get any financial reward out of it, uh, I just learn more when I teach others. So that's the other thing that this provides. Plus, you're interacting with like-minded people there who would probably share the same challenges that you face in your day job, whatever industry you are in. So some of the problem solving that may come up may be quite related to what you are doing in your workplaces. So that's the other benefit of participating through such a network. It also gives you opportunity for personal growth and access to hidden opportunities. The point I was making earlier about a network where you don't know people, as this is a network of weak ties, not strong ties, buddies you know known from before. Now that's very important if you're looking for new opportunities. Quite often, as in there's enough research which proves that we often find our next opportunity not from the people who we know, but from people who we loosely know. So that's the kind of hidden benefit that this starts delivering. Again, same principles around how this works, more and more online instead of having a very face-to-face physical model. Face-to-face things can obviously happen, but how much can we use technology to enable these interactions is what really needs to be pursued. Again, we can have masterminds for chasing. It doesn't have to be impact related. Somebody may want to improve their speed of cycling, or they may have a new goal for climbing heights. Even those kinds of things can be masterminded. So it's still a network of people you can connect with who share a common interest and who hold you to account. And likewise with circles, people from your industry, from your expertise areas, and so on. Now, the last one is the impact investors. Again, very similar, but the lens is slightly different. They are mainly interested in investment. So for these individuals, and especially anyone who's looking to enter crypto, this is where they'll probably find most value. But this is the offering here is the crypto assets that we've already built will be used to generate enough funding to get these impact startups off the ground. And the expectation is that some of these startups will generate revenue, and that in turn will result in positive return over the longer term. A bit of a startup model there, certainly. But does that kind of give you a rough idea, at least, of what we are talking about? When we say impact, and if we want to narrow down on impact, then we're really saying impact entrepreneurs lead the way, the collaborators, the network, the community supports them and stands to benefit either directly or indirectly. And anyone interested in with pure revenue interests and they don't have time or energy to support, they can also participate in impact. In terms of revenue, there are lots of ideas there. Again, reality will be when we actually start generating. But if I zoom in there, the primary one at the moment is the focus is really on getting this off the ground. And that's through the NFT sales that we've talked about before, the Better World tokens. That's needed to start the engine. But once that's done, the revenue share from the successful startups, and then there are some other areas. There's grants and loans. I think there was a mention last time we met. I think was it Balaji and Mark, you guys were suggesting, yeah, why don't we go for grants and loans? So yes, that's absolutely a revenue stream, and that's something we would pursue as well. But there are enough ways to generate revenue in order to fund the cost base that all this would create. Does that firstly help understand this loosely, as in there are so many concepts still within that, but does this kind of bring it to life a bit more?
Yeah,
technology
it narrows down the scope and the focus a bit more from previous sessions, Dash. So it's starting to feel more tangible and understandable as a concept, definitely.
Okay, thanks. Was it Balaji? I can't see who's
actually
speaking.
Yeah, trying to intervene like every time. So the technology aspect, like under channels, we have got blockchain and crypto assets mentioned elsewhere as well. Is that the focus area, or are we considering other areas of technology as well?
So from crypto is mainly being used, sorry, blockchain is being used mainly for two things, funding a vehicle, but also the trust vehicle through the smart contracts as well. So that's the only use for blockchain at the moment. I'm sure there are other ideas we can explore. In terms of other technologies, the startups themselves may have their own suite of technologies they are interested in. So AI-driven initiative will have its own, but that's a startup, not the framework. As in, I'm trying to separate the framework from the actual implementations. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
As in, there will be a lot of focus on technology for sure, but more through the startup ideas. Are there any other questions, guys? And if something doesn't make sense, please shout.
There's a question in the chat, Dash.
From Sherry.
Yeah, Dash, thanks for this. This is really so much more clearer, and I think it gives a very simple picture of everything, really. My question is, probably I'm jumping the gun on this, Dash, but I was wondering if you could take us through a journey of an outsider. Say there's a person called Michael who's got a great business idea which aligns with all our values. Where does he go from there? If you could walk us through the entire journey of how it would work with the fantastic idea that he has. Where do we come in? What does he need to do? Does he need to pay? How do
Yeah,
what are
absolutely.
the,
So
yeah.
Can I just
interestingly,
clarify, Dash? I think this is the typical, this is what we discussed earlier this week, is almost do the actor roles using, if you can use Nick as an example, as you have been in discussion with him on Mastermind.
yeah,
And I think just do that full data flow of actors going from one
Yeah,
box to the other and
absolutely. So
really bring it to life.
yeah,
yeah, yeah, that would really help.
that makes sense. So in fact, funnily enough, the website, the homepage that is slowly getting built, actually uses three characters called J, K, and D. And if we use that, or maybe better still, let me use Nick's example. Nick, I hope you won't mind.
It's all right.
Yeah. So Nick to me is an impact entrepreneur. Now he has a very specific idea, which is to actually do two things. One is inspire the young generation, way before they even make up their minds about their career choices, to choose technology. And second is also through the 8 years that they go from that point onwards, actually skill them for the real world technology usage, not what gets taught in the education system, which is not fit for purpose when they hit the market. Now, that has impact of various kinds. Firstly, it gets children interested early. It helps them make their minds early. It starts bridging the technology challenge that the world keeps facing. It inspires people to do better things, I guess. So there are lots of good things that come out of simply what Nick is trying to do. Now, Nick as an entrepreneur, so let's use the screen here. So that's Nick. He comes along. Now, Link and me, we have already been collaborating with him. So we are, although I have my own entrepreneurial interests, I'm a collaborator in that capacity. And I've worked with Nick behind the scenes recently to brainstorm, help him think through, connecting him with a few people as well, who hopefully will guide him. They are from the education system. So while I may not be directly interested in Nick's idea from actually going and running those workshops in schools, I can support Nick in his journey so that he goes and creates impact and creates a positive impact. Now, so far in our journey with Nick, we've not funded any of his work. But if, let's say, Nick came to a point where he establishes his business model to a sufficient clarity and he starts saying, actually, if I had X amount, I could catapult it to the next level, then the revenue that gets generated from the NFT sales is what would get used to support Nick in his journey. So if, let's say, he wants to now scale up a bit, or even simple things like running a website and having some administrative support from behind the scenes. So those are the kinds of things. In fact, if I go to the backstage view, that starts giving you. So kinds of things Nick can now benefit from are things like, I think somewhere it says back office. So there's a back office which can start picking up his administrative burden while he focuses on growth. But it's creating opportunities for Nick to create impact. But in the process, Nick will also generate opportunities for people who collaborate with him, or people who have not collaborated but are part of the network. He can safely tap into that network because it kind of has the same ethos. Of course, he still will have to go through the recruitment processes and all, but there is one screen already in place which says people in this network are there because they care. So it starts giving Nick access to the right people, to the right guidance, to the right money, if you like, there as well. And as Nick then progresses, and let's say we complete the journey here, and the UK education system says, or the secretary says, they need to do X in the education sector. Now, Nick is already well placed in the education sector through his startup process. Now, he could be delivering an impact into the education system. He could then serve as a partner to the, because this part we didn't focus much on, but the goal here is impact institutions also have a requirement of a good channel to deliver their goals. So Nick could be supporting the education sector and the education secretary in his goals or her goals. And then lastly, the impact consumers. So if, let's say, again, just following that story, the schools want to run certain training programs for their students. They can reach out to an impact organization, which is where the marketplace comes in. So in the marketplace, we would only be listing people who are aligned to impact, and that becomes a safe place or a go-to place for any institution or any customer. Even as in the example we are choosing, you wouldn't have individual customers, but likely institutions can go to this place and say, oh, look, there is Nick and there is Joe and there is Jane, and I have these three to choose from, and they are all very impact focused, and work they do actually delivers good impact outside here as well. So it kind of starts building that end-to-end view, hopefully. Does that help, Sherry, as an example?
And I was on mute, but yes, it definitely helps. Thank you.
Yeah, so the thing we are going to do is on the website, once we get the countdowns, we get rid of the countdowns. There are three characters, and we were looking for almost very agnostic names, and it just turns out J, K, and D, because you can spell them as a spelling as well. But these are three characters who will be used to actually explain the concept. So J would be the entrepreneur, K would be the collaborator, and D would be the investor, and how they interact in order to create impact while ensuring they benefit themselves. So we are going to work on that idea, even on the online presence.
Thank you. Happy to help with that, Dash, if you need me to help on that. Are you looking at explainer kind of video or something?
Sorry? We on the website, we may have to do an explainer video, but it's more very simple textual, visual kind of representation. I can share some of that with you if you want, but it'd be great to get some feedback and help as well on that. Yeah,
We'll take that offline.
Yeah, sure. Thank you for that.
Thanks.
Sorry, I heard was someone trying to come in? No? So there is a lot, and you have the link, you can access this anytime. I'll skip the key activities and resources, but if we look at the key partnerships, that starts making sense. So in order to deliver this, if we just do it as a group of 18, 20 people, I don't think that's going to work. We need to go a little wider. Of course, we've got Johnny, who's starting to look into how we generate the initial funding. But longer term, we need to have other partners we can interact with and work with. So B Corp, I think, is a great community. They are all triple bottom line organizations. It's a community of, I think, about 5,000 businesses that already focus in this space. And they are vetted. They're not just people listed on a website somewhere. They're properly vetted businesses through the B Corporation. So that certainly feels, I've been in conversation with them. I'm keen SmallOutside is registered as a B Corp as well, so that the triple bottom line goals are publicly declared and announced. We also have the other organizations like UNSDG is a key one for delivering impact and providing a framework. There is, again, a lot happening in the SDG space over the next 10 years. UN's goal by 2030 is significant, and there should be enough in that space in order to integrate with, interact with, or leverage to support some of the work we do here. And then we have the charities and the CSR units of businesses as well. Now, but where do we go from here? As in, it's all well and good. This is still not proven. This is still a model, and it needs to be proven. So if we look at the impact incubator now, the roadmap is only a thought process as it stands now, and really the market will decide what we actually do. But to get us started, we'll move away from the countdown website, which is currently there. The goal is for 1st of Jan, there is at least a version of a website which has basic functionality to enable people to come and share their idea and say, this is what I'm working on. Allow people to register interest if they are interested in being part of the impact network. That kind of functionality would be there. The opportunity to buy crypto assets. Now that's already there in the current website, but that will be properly done. At the moment, it's almost a proof of concept. We won't do anything on impact partners or marketplace yet. This is more longer term. But from a platform perspective, the MVP will have features mainly to support these things, which is onboarding entrepreneurs and capturing the interest of people who want to be part of the impact network. And then we will see what the market tells us and then progress from that point forward. But I do see somewhere by March, we should have a rich list of ideas already published with people, a kind of voting mechanism in place as well for people to say, yeah, I support this or don't support it. At least that starts bubbling up the projects that are suitable for supporting further. Because there are websites out there like kern.al or something, AI, I think. People publish lots of information. They're half-baked, they're not thought through. So there will be an effort to actually ensure the ideas are matured sufficiently before they can be taken into any kind of execution. At some point, the real fun begins when those ideas have been converted into proof of concepts. But that's where the focus will be from an impact incubation perspective. On the circles side, I would like, once we've identified this is where there's probably a bit of software development that will need to be done. Again, depending on how much funding gets generated, we will invest or do a clunky version of Slack or similar. But the circles concept, if you recall, we said each person has 150 people in each of those 4 areas. So that's a network of 600 people that each person has direct access to. All the tools that are there, we've tried several. They're all, in my opinion, serving a very different purpose. Either they are there to do social media marketing, or they are there to serve as office work management tools. I haven't, unless anyone else has ideas, I haven't come across anything which allows people to actually collaborate meaningfully without lots of other restrictions. And given circles is a key tool or key model within this entire community, there will be a need to start piloting it and build some software to support that as well. But again, we won't start it until we see enough interest coming towards it, and then we will slowly pilot it and then start building the community properly. But that's where we are. And so on the crypto side, the NFT sales are starting soon, but also the SOS Rewards program, which is a which is a way of recognizing anyone who participates in this journey. And longer term, at least when we work with SOS coins right now, we treat it like real money, as if it was $1 a coin. And I want to maintain that and make sure anyone who supports this initiative is recognized for what they do. And longer term, hopefully that translates in something back for those who participate. And that is how far, and B Corp status is. And I've been in conversation, that's not the priority, but come Jan, if we start seeing enough momentum, that is a costly and time consuming exercise, but it's something I'm very keen that we get recognized as a B Corp, because that's important from many perspectives. And does that help with the roadmap? I did initially put some feature sets and all, but I thought that would go to a level of detail which may not be of interest. Does this kind of give you a feel of roughly where we may be flying?
Yeah, it does.
Yes.
And then the last bit is and this is only there as a concept visualization. This is not something that will turn up in Facebook or any other social media channel, but this is really the concept here. It's like most people think they cannot make an impact, and they can actually. They can if they have the right collaborations in place and they have the right support in place. That's what we are really referring to when we say as a collective, as a network, as people with a shared basis, we can make a difference. And then this is the other one, which is going by the Wright brothers and their work. And then finally, more often than not, we never pay attention to our inner voice. So this is really encouraging people to chase the dreams and listen to that inner voice and do something about it. So these are again concept visualizations, not real ads, but I just wanted to put it there so it kind of helps bring this whole thing to life. I'll stop sharing my screen, and if there are any ideas, thoughts, suggestions, I would welcome any and every bit of it, actually.
It seems to me that the first thing to make all of this work really well, and even if it works as a technology, is to get more and more people involved, isn't it? I mean, you need to somehow get bigger numbers into this. Because, all of us, I mean, some of us can do a bit of all of that, investing into businesses. People want to start businesses. I think, I can see where I can help in some ways in what you're doing, but I think you do need for more ideas to get more people involved somehow. How do you do that? Is really the...
Yeah, and I think it will start small. And in fact, I think it is a good idea to start small, because we are going to feel our way through it. Even if we had the wherewithal now to actually generate a big uptake, I don't think we have got the models fine-tuned to the level where it will just work like clockwork. So
sure.
The things that we are doing, as in what we, like Nick, Link, and me, we are doing already through the mastermind, is a great little pilot. What would be nice to do is for us to rally around maybe one impact project and say, how would we support this? Because that's where the fun begins. And yeah, but you're right, as in this is not an idea which will work without enough participation. It does need enough participation.
Yeah, and I think the idea that, Nick, your idea, so I've not been involved very much in it, but just listening to Dash has described it, I was actually very interested in, to be honest. I think it's a great thing to get involved in. It's for sure. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. I did wonder, because the other day I sent Baz a text message and I said, I'm going to be impact focused. And he said, I don't know what I'll do. I said, hold on.
Yeah, sorry about that. It was one of those how can I help moments,
Yeah, I think
yes,
this
no,
is
yeah.
kind of stuff most of us want to do. Some of us can do it full time, as in some of us are crazy enough to quit our jobs and do these things. And some, as in, look at Nick, he's looking elsewhere suddenly. But some of us just don't have the time to do it, but we still
Sure.
want to do it with whatever limited resources we have and limited time we have. And if we can spin it into a model that actually generates something back for people, and to be honest, satisfaction is a big thing, as in we don't put a price to it, but that's worth a lot. New networks, new collaborations, they mean a lot.
Hey Dash, can I jump in quickly? So I know you're looking at other platforms, Slack and Teams and that sort of stuff. Have you used LinkedIn groups much?
I have, but again, it's a bit iffy, to be honest. It didn't. So there is in fact a network there which I think has 350 odd people, but LinkedIn, because their goal is very much social media marketing and advertising, they start blocking you from communicating, and yeah, not great.
I was thinking you could set up a few groups for each circle, because then on the same thing as Bharat was talking about, getting new people into the group, you can almost put an advertisement / barrier up there, because people can't just join the groups anyway. You have to, a manager lets them in. So you can have admission criteria, and it serves as a bit of an advert and a bit of a recruitment exercise to bring people in, but possibly also a way of saying, look, we're having a meeting about this topic or whatever it is. So that was, two birds, one LinkedIn.
Yeah. Let's have a look, because last time I tried, it didn't work. But this was when we were trying to get contractor workforce together, and yeah, people come sign up, but then nothing more happens after that. So
I think we're all probably on LinkedIn anyway, so it saves us having another Discord, Slack, so on, that some of us might not have those slightly smaller applications.
For the pilot, we can start off. I think that certainly is. In Slack, I do find it painful, to be honest. It does work when it works. That's good. I'll probably exchange a few notes with you, Andy. I know you do a bit on LinkedIn quite regularly, so maybe we exchange notes there. Okay. Any other thoughts or questions? There's a minute left. I'm happy to stay back longer, but if there are any more,
Thoughts on subjects for 2 weeks' time, Dash? What do we want to try and get to?
So 2 weeks from now, I was thinking we cancel it because it's in the week of Christmas. I'm happy to hold it.
Eggnog. Okay, that's the goal.
I think, as in what I would value actually and welcome is the site as it gets built. If you are able to play a devil's advocate on it and just kind of look at it and tell me, that would be really useful.
Fresh eyes on. Okay, yeah, sure.
Yeah, because that is currently the focus, and yeah, I think there should be something sensible to share within a week or so. The groundwork's happening. Okay. Any more? Maybe how about, do you know any good entrepreneurs? And we have Nick, we can just rally around Nick and get his idea off the ground. No pressure, Nick, but but as in, do you know someone who is there and wants to get ready? I know Dinesh's idea, he wants to do something very not similar to Nick, but again, he's looking at mapping locations of everything on the planet, basically. And that does have serious implications in terms of, or benefits in terms of impact work and cutting down carbon emissions and all that. So we could maybe start picking up projects like these and start rallying, because we have enough entrepreneurs in this group already, to be honest. As in, Andy, your ethical consultancy, that to me is a great thing to rally behind and support you on. If you want it.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah. So if there are ideas like that, they should, some easy way of putting them across. See what kind. Well, firstly, what they are and what kind of help we can give. Yeah, I agree. Actually, maybe we should pick a subject and see how we can help. It'll become more real, won't it? I guess, and it'll iron out any issues that we have.
Yeah. There is quite a lot of work to be done in terms of getting those. We support Nick, then how do we take money out of him? So that would be an interesting one. But on that lighter note, Nick, don't sweat. but make a model which enables people to participate because they have something coming back to them in return and all that. So we need to pilot this a bit.
Yeah, I agree. And I think, I mean, as you know from our initial conversations, I was actually interested in the other way. How can I help without taking anything out? So, in Nick's example, sorry, Nick, I keep picking on you, but it's not the intention. But I would be very, very happy helping in that sort of idea, but not want anything back from it, actually. But I think what you're trying to do is actually the positive thing. And I don't need anything back at all. If that works and it actually makes a difference within the education system and for the kids, I'm not quite sure what age groups you were talking about, but certainly for me, if that makes a difference, that is the benefit I've got out of it. I don't need money or anything like that. So that, you will find people like that who are actually interested in the non-monetary benefits, if you like.
Yeah. No, and a lot of people are interested in supporting just because it helps someone.
Yeah. And there is that risk thing as well, isn't it? If you want, I mean, crowdfunding is one way, but if we can, I know you talk about sort of Bitcoin or digital currencies and all of those things, but I don't know enough about it, so I can't say. But to me, what is more real is real money. How do people deal with it in pounds and pence, if you like? And I'm sure in what Nick is trying to do, he probably needs real currency to get his activities moving and his stuff off the ground. And those things I think we can also help with.
As in the crypto translates into real money.
Sure.
It has to be convertible. Otherwise, it's just instead of going through a traditional process, this has many other, as in I can talk you through.
Oh, no, I understand that. I know. Sorry, I do understand. I'm not knocking that part, but I think from starting up a small business and trying to grow it, majority of people, Nick and others would be talking to, will want real money, and they will probably not be interested in cryptocurrencies at all. So I think, I think that's what I'm trying to get to, really. We can find ways to do that. Yeah.
Do you have many friends, Baz? Clearly, you seem to.
I'll be honest. I came to you from a different angle completely. I wasn't, as you know, I wasn't joining to try and make money, or I'm actually interested in the other way. I think I can find investors in good ideas, and particularly if they're related to some good causes that make a difference, not just I want to make lots of money.
And those ideas are probably not things that will get supported on this platform anyways. The idea is if somebody comes with a non-impact idea, then actually influence them to start thinking about ways to create impact. So we can still support every idea as long as the person has impact in mind and sustainability in mind. And it is easy to bring in sustainability. You just need to do the right things. And it's a change of thought process.
Yeah, I agree.
So we are overrunning now, but are there any other thoughts? As in, by the way, guys, sorry, I forgot to stop the recording. So I'll stop the recording now and we can continue with anyone else who wants to stay. Let me just stop the recording.